Fracas made us from
Traces of the attack on Steepleton can still be seen, but the repair work is coming on well. While taking a rest, you see a cart trundling along the road not far away from you. A young couple are sitting on the box seat, clearly in love and more interested in each other than the rest of the world around them. The sight reminds you of a long unanswered question.
So, I was wondering, what do female dwarves look like?
pretty. Very pretty.
Uh-huh.
You were expecting a little more information.
Do they have beards?
No, I would say it's more like fluff. Oh, very attractive.
And what do they do? I mean, are they warriors too?
In our kingdom, most take care of domestic life. They take the animals down to the meadows in the valleys, make sure the larder are full and there's plenty of good beer, and make our clothes. It only ever causes problems when men and women stand shoulder to shoulder in battle. Some of them are talented stonemasons and smiths, and beware of insulting their skills. They are no less proud than we are.
You arrive at a small, bustling village. One thing is clearly missing from the lively. A dour, grim-looking man is sitting in front of the forge with his right arm in a sling. His expression brightens as he sees you, and he jumps to his feet.
Dear dwarves, could I interest...
The man's expression is somewhere between desperation and hope. As you don't answer immediately, he continues.
What happened to your...
A stupid accident. A box of...
You must have quite a backlog of work.
Loads. But if what I hear about the metalworking skills...
I'll help you. I worked in a forge for a...
A little later, you are standing in the workshop, examining the smith's inferior tool. You weren't able to persuade the twins to help you. Hours later, you have forgotten everything around you. The heat of...
Right, I'm talking to you. Can you do it?
You immediately dislike the middle-aged man. With the forge hammer in your hand, you play dumb. You expect the man to fly off the handle, but you feel even more uneasy when he asks you quietly and very slowly to please re-shoe the 2 horses.
These 2 need shoeing? No problem.
You concentrate on the work. While you're fitting the 3rd horseshoe, another armed man enters the forge. You play it cool and complete the work. As the leader of the mercenaries pays you, you have the feeling that he is trying to
So, you're mercenaries, I take it?
You're only trying...
Something like that.
Got lots of work? Oh, do you know anything about the armies of orcs from the south?
We can't complain.
The man's tone makes it clear that the conversation has ended here. You carry out the work in silence. As the leader of the mercenaries pays you, you have the feeling that he is trying to transfix you with his eyes. The men join a larger group of horsemen, more than a dozen.
Not here in the village. Go. Search the road between here and Clintarligan.
The other mercenaries nod and the group rides off. You can't make... You tell the twins about your encounter, and they decide to be especially vigilant over the next days. You spend the night in the smith's house and move on the next morning. In the early evening, you make an unusual discovery on the side of the road. A colourful trader's wagon has been carelessly...
I don't like the look of this one bit, Boindle. You take a look around there.
You can see a lot of tracks in the mud around the wagon. You scan the road and the woods on both sides, apart from the twins who have... The wagon itself isn't damaged, nor is the drawbar, but the belts and... The dwindling daylight provides little light inside the wagon. It smells of leather, it is messy, but no more so than you would expect from a single dwarf. The bed is rumpled, and there are tools and leftover materials piled up on the little workbench. There are several cupboards hanging on the right-hand wall. At the end of the wagon, there's a large wardrobe, and next to the door on the left is a heavy wooden chest with rusty metal hinges. As you try to lift the lid of the chest, you realize that the lock has been broken out of the wood. You take the bread and the cured meat. The extra... You take the loot. You can't play. The smaller cupboards are piled high with a multitude. You reach for the knob of the wardrobe, and then stop. You take a step back, and his head has been cut clean from his neck. The dwarf is wearing clothes that look more like human robes, and bears no coat of arms that would identify his kingdom. You didn't know him, but no one deserves to die like this. His head is being cut off cleanly, probably with a sharp blade. A quick glance in the wardrobe confirms what you already suspect. The dwarf's head is nowhere to be seen. You give a short, sharp whistle, and the twins come running at the double. You tell them what you found.
A group of horsemen with heavy boots has been here. I found Mort in the wagon, beheaded. I have a hunch that the mercenaries from Fallow Rock have something to do with this.
Wretched dwarf killers!
You can tell that Boindil wants revenge and can understand his feelings well. You wrap the body in linen, dig a hole in the woods, and place the body in it. You lay a couple of his tools and other personal belongings you found in the wagon next to him. You wish there was more you could do for him. You continue on your journey in gloomy spirits. You come across an orchard next to a farmstead and
Excuse me, but we're looking for a group of mercenaries.
the young man is startled. He must have nodded off. He looks around anxiously. When he sees you,
If you can't help us, we'd be happy to ask the owner of the farmstead. We'll just tell him that the man sleeping in the shade of the orchard sent us. What do you think?
the man seems to size you up, and then a crooked smile spreads across his face.
All right, you caught me. The people rode northwest. But please don't tell Father Mullen.
There's no reason for that if you told the truth. So, northwest, you say?
You continue on your journey, while the lazy labourer sinks back into the grass. The first thing you notice as you enter the village of Clintal is how quiet it is. There is hardly a soul in the streets, and the few people you do see immediately disappear into their houses as you get closer. Boindil draws his axes, and Boendal his raven's beak.
Something's not quite right here. Be alert.
You walk on until you reach the village square. Without a word, men enter the square from the left and the right, cutting off your way. You recognize the leader of the group of mercenaries, looking you over with a satisfied expression. Standing next to him is a frail man with greying hair, who doesn't seem able to cope with the situation. He tries several times to say something, but can't find the right words. Before you have the chance to say anything, the leader of the men calls loudly so that they can all hear.
That's them! They're the ones who murdered the poor travelling trader Mort.
Murderers? Come here, dwarf killer!
Are you denying your terrible deed? You were seen murdering poor old Mort, one of your kind in cold blood.
The old man points unnecessarily to the leader of the mercenaries.
So apparently, you saw us committing murder, but you didn't intervene? And then you overtook us, and only set a trap for us now, and here, several days' journey from the place where it happened. Your story doesn't seem to make much sense.
We knew that the good people of Clintel would stand by us in confronting you. Mort was well known and respected around here.
But how did you know that we would come to Clintel of all places? If you were really tracking us, that wouldn't have been possible. But if you, on the other hand, were the ones being tracked, then it would have been easy for you to steer us into this trap.
He does have a point, Medarin. Why did you?
The village elder stops mid-sentence as the leader of the mercenaries draws his sword. The village elder turns from the mercenary to look at you, and then gives his men a signal to withdraw.
Watch out for the archers.
Of course! I'm with you! Huh? As good as done! Alright! What is it? And what now? Ow! Hey! Huh? That won't be hardly put in the fight! Damn it! How many more of them are there? Yeah! Oh, boy, attack! Who's next? Where is Boydell? Yeah! I need help over here! Quickly! He cheated! End it! Mabracus! Yeah!
Others will take my place.
Huh? As good as done! Save the body forever! What is it? On my way!
Yes? At once. Understood.
Yeah!
On my way.
What is it? Yes, yes! I'm with you! Huh? Oh, what bad luck for you!
As good as done.
Of course!
As good as done.
On my way!
As good as done.
On my way!
What is it? And what now? Huh? Yes? Mavracus! Understood. Attack! Huh? Yes? What is it?
Too easy!
All right. I am Boendar. Give me that way. I need help over here, quickly. Huh? Mavracus. I'll need to put up a fight. At what? I need help over here, quickly. Next. Understood.
I didn't hit you very hard!
Huh? All right.
Yes.
As good as done. Of course.
On my way!
As good as done.
On my way!
As good as done. All right.
Yes!
As good as done. Of course. As good as done. All right.
Yes! On my way!
As good as done. Of course.
On my way!
As good as done. All right.
Go!
As good as done. Understood.
Yes! On my way!
As good as done.
Always go!
On my way!
As good as done. All right.
Yes!
And what now? Yes? As good as done. All right. Mavracus. Yeah. Understood. What is it?
Who's next? Say goodbye forever!
Huh?
Yeah!
Attack! Huh?
The last of the mercenaries falls to the ground, but Boindil is still in the frenzy of battle. You and Boendal have to physically restrain him until he comes to his senses. Otherwise, you'd have stormed the houses to find more adversaries. You walk up to the body of the mercenaries' leader and search his pockets. You soon find something. A letter.
An anonymous client seeks dwarf skulls cleanly cut, shorn, and put into jars with honey. 1,000 gold coins will be paid for each skull. Khan, Bounty Hunters Guild Master.
That's bounty hunters. Hunting for dwarves. Despicable.
You hold the letter aloft so that everyone can see it.
Look, citizens of Clintel, proof that these men are the killers. They are bounty hunters hunting for dwarves.
The village elder comes out of one of the houses, flanked by other villagers. You ignore their weapons, as well as their sinister expressions, and hand over the letter.
It would seem you are telling the truth. And you only killed those who deceived us. I thank you for this.
The village elder signals to a woman, and a few moments later, she brings you food and a bag of gold.
Take this in thanks for your actions.
You approach the village and can tell even from far off that something isn't right.
By Brackers.
The piggies have really shown those pointy ears. We couldn't have done it any better.
Stay alert. I want to find out what happened to Garen. Hoofprints burned into the ground.
Alfar?
The fire in Boindill's eyes flares up with delight.
Huzzah! That would make a change from those stupid piggies. Did you hear that, brother? We might get to test our blades on Tion's pointy ears.
You have read about the elves and their buildings. This here had always just been a small example of their architectural skill, which achieved perfection in Alandur. Now burning and ruined, the pavilion makes an even sadder impression. Green Glade was one of the few places in Girdlegard where humans and elves lived together. You don't see any elven features among all the faces contorted with pain and fear. You look away. The body of the man is riddled with arrows and is lying in a small patch of undamaged ground, while a sea of flames must have raged in a circle around him. The robes remind you of those of Lot Yonan's famuli. This, plus the fact that the man used magic, makes you quite sure that this is Garen. The hand that painted this picture was that of a master. It is composed exclusively in shades of red, but every single little detail is painstakingly and precisely reflected. Trees, the remains of buildings, bodies. You hesitate.
This picture portrays the village in its state of ruin.
Examining the canvas more closely, You realize that it is actually made of skin, and the red paint seems more than suspicious now. The smell of the smoke has accompanied you for a while now, but here, so close to the bodies, it is masked by the sweet smell of death. You have a bitter taste in your mouth and have to pull yourself together to avoid vomiting in disgust.
This is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen.
The elf maiden's graceful snow-white face still radiates beauty, in terrible contrast to the rest of her appearance. From the neck down, she is nothing more than a blood-red, damp and glistening skeleton. There are long nails sticking through her thin bones, and where her beautiful eyes once were, are now gaping black holes. In your imagination, you see the Alfar's shadow mare standing around the Lady of Greenglade, devouring her, while she, nailed to the tree, squirms and screams in pain. You quickly put your hand over your mouth.
Goren had these books on him when he was attacked. Was he trying to bring them to safety?
Your eyes fall upon a sealed letter next to the books. The circumstances seem grave enough for you to break the seal.
Greetings, Tugger. I am glad to hear that you finally wish to confide in Lot Yonan. I have found out something new about the demon. It's all written in these books. I think they are the key to his destruction, or I hope so, at least. Yours faithfully, Goren. What demon are they talking about?
You instinctively think about how the magical barrier is only a few days' march north of here, and beyond it, Varakas only knows what kind of creatures live in the Perish Land.
You destroyed my painting. Now I need fresh blood to paint a new one.
Huzzah! This will be fun! We finally get to fight!
I hope your blood doesn't clot too much. It has to be nice and fluid for my fine brushstrokes.
Ha! How do you plan to defeat us, pointy ears? There are 3 of us!
Oh, only 3. That makes it easier.
She looks over the corpses.
Otharin Lueth Buanre!
What's happening?
That's the perished land.
Impossible. Greenglade is south of the barrier.
I know of nothing else that can resurrect the dead. Knock their heads off or they'll keep coming back.
Yes? At once.
Yeah! And what now?
Huh? With pleasure.
Oh, what bad luck for you, creature!
Huh? For Vracus! End it! Attack! For Vracus! Attack!